Today, Matchweek 26, City have officially met their match, lose to Tottenham for the second time this season. City's loss paired with a Liverpool win versus Norwich has opened up the title race again. The enigma that is Man U blew another lead shortly after half, but come back to take all 3 points at Leeds. Chelsea's return, stay hot, and wins for relegation zone clubs. All that and more on this packed episode of the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
And now, fighting in the red corner.
In the claret corner. West Ham, the Hammers United.
Yeah, the Hammers United.
Versus Newcastle,
Magpies
Blood
United.
Money United.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. If you couldn't tell from that intro, West Ham United versus Newcastle United.
First game of the match
First
week.
game of the match week. Rip roaring right into the lineups. West Ham, Fabianski, Cresswell, Zuma, Dawson, Ryan Fredericks, Pablo Fornals, Jared Bowen, Ben Rama, Souček, Declan Rice, and Mikel Antonio.
A little surprised on the squad rotation getting Ryan Fredericks in there instead of Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think David Moyes was like, "Oh, I messed up. I meant to put."
Yeah, I mean Johnson
out there.
sometimes will play more right, but I don't know. And then you didn't call him his actual nickname, Kurt the Cat Kicker.
Kurt the Cat Kicker Zuma. Reports saying that Chris Wood was saying meow to him throughout the match.
The Kiwi Bants.
That is some classic banter. For Newcastle, Dubravka, Schär, Target, Kraft, Dan Burn, Joelinton, John Joe Shelby, Joseph Willock, Chris Wood, Ryan Fraser, and Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy a little more forward than we saw in the last couple of years under Steve Bruce in this one. He's virtually just a straight-up winger, whereas, more of a wing-back role under Bruce.
Now Joel Ellington is your holding midfielder, so...
I mean, when he's, top 5 in tackles and interceptions of the last, 10 games, what are you going to do? Not to mention you got Dan Burn back there. I mean, Newcastle just a defensive powerhouse now. How the tables have turned.
Just an absolute unit. So getting into this match.
Yes.
Let me scroll back up to my notes. Early action
Pretty
for
balanced.
Newcastle inside the West Ham box. Straight off the bat there for Newcastle. And then, like you said, pretty balanced first half. Each side kind of having their time in the sun.
Uh-huh. I'd say the first initial portion, Newcastle kind of able to hold possession, which honestly, you look back on what they're doing under Steve Bruce, and, we talk about how Steve Bruce doesn't get enough appreciation, but they were never really ever holding possession, unless they were down at the end of games and they just kind of had to put stuff forward. They were never really holding possession. It's pretty impressive to see that they, can play that style.
Yeah, that was my
Howe.
thoughts during this game as well. Kind of the same thing, wow, this is such a different Newcastle team than what we've seen before, and they look really good, honestly. They look like a solid mid-table side,
Yeah.
the way they're playing.
Scary when you think about the money they have if they bring in the right guys.
Yeah, it is scary. And not to mention, no Kieran Trippier.
Yeah,
Out for the rest of the season, possibly, with a broken foot.
more than likely. Manquillo still hurt, so
Yeah.
kind of patching it together.
Patching it together, but they still look pretty good. No St. Maximin,
Mm-hmm.
but they're making it work. And, they had good possession, started out the game. West Ham got back into the game, after about 20, 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, I would say. Bowen with that post hit. I think that was around the 20th minute.
Yep.
And just kind of able to hold possession there on as the half was moving along, able to get a foul, get a free kick, do what they do, exploit other teams' defense on set pieces. Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, and you got to say Cresswell, what a beautiful ball into the box there.
They should have known Dawson's been hot. They got to put Dan Burn on him and not on Antonio.
Yeah, true. Antonio has been like a ghost for the second half of the season.
This game was kind of strange because there's times I noticed, and I kind of like the idea of it when it's not regularly clicking for him out in front of net, but he's kind of on the wing a little bit. He was dropping back into midfield, picking up the ball, helping out where he can. So he's trying to be, useful since the goals aren't really falling.
Yeah, for sure. So West Ham take the lead 1-0, but just before halftime, Newcastle get a goal through Joe Willock, scores after a poor defensive header from Declan Rice goes backwards, and it falls nicely to Joe Willock, who converts the chance.
Yeah, not Rice's best game, but still a really good game. And then you throw this in there, and it's like, oh, maybe it wasn't as good as you'd think. But, Joe Willock, I sang his praises last week. He hasn't been scoring, but he's been doing a lot in terms of, defensive presence out there. And he's been a nice little, in terms of link-up play, a nice addition to the counter, or the attack.
Yeah, he's looked a lot better in the most recent weeks. He looks a lot more like what we saw last season when he was on loan from Arsenal.
Massive that they can kind of get him adjusted and put in the squad as a solid midfield player, seeing as how their midfield, obviously it's looked better, but given what it was early in the season at times, it was really dire.
And especially missing out on St. Maximin. Good to have some extra attacking threat.
Yeah, have your secondary attacker step up.
So it goes into halftime 1-1. Second half, not a very good half, in my opinion. It was
kind of sloppy. Kind of sloppy, and there just was not much cutting edge for either side. In the first half, Newcastle looked about as good as you could without registering that many shots. They really couldn't, muster anything. But in this half, they really didn't have much going for them. Their defense held up, I thought. And West Ham's attack, we've seen it against the lower sides. They sometimes just struggle to generate a goal when it's going to be, they're not going to be able to take the ball off someone and have fast build up as like a mini counterattack.
Right.
They just kind of have to generate from possession, and sometimes they struggle with that.
Yeah, something I noticed was that it looked like Jared Bowen's looking a little gassed out there. He's been heavily relied upon for West Ham, and you can tell, like, man, he really looks like he could use a break, but West Ham just don't really have that luxury to, let him sit on the bench for a game.
No, he's kind of been their 9 lately with, like I was saying about Antonio, rotating out to wing or kind of dropping back a little bit. But, who else would you put up there? It's not like you really want Lanzini leading the line, and Antonio, the way he's playing, not really. Vlasic hasn't been that great for him, so it's like, who are you going to put up there? You don't really have a backup 9.
Yeah, and some good entertainment just before the end of the game. Small on tall action as Dan Burn comes flying in on Jared Bowen after the flag is raised.
Jared Bowen wanted to throw hands.
Yeah, they were getting into a little scuffle there. You got to say Dan Burn. That was a wild one.
That's what he does out there. He's there to rile people up.
Yep, and that one ends 1-1.
I'd say fair result.
Ends in a draw. Yeah, second half, it seemed like both teams were kind of playing not to lose. Not really going out on a limb there to try and get the 3 points.
Yeah, like I said, the cutting edge just was not there in attack. Better result for Newcastle than West Ham, obviously. Maybe West Ham feel a little hard done, seeing as how Bowen didn't get the chance to go. in the first half, hitting the crossbar, but it is what it is. West Ham's got to get those if they're going to get that top 4 spot.
Yeah, it's looking harder and harder with other teams ramping up the competition. Speaking of other teams in the fight for the European spots, Arsenal taking on Brentford into the lineups.
Ramsdale, Tierney, White, Gabriel, Cedric, Thomas Partey, Saka, Odegaard, ESR, Xhaka, Lacazette. For Brentford, Raya, Ayer, Pinnock, Jensen, Henry, Norgard, Canos, Jensen, Josh Da Silva getting a start, Wisa and Mbuemo in there with no Ivan Toney still out injured.
Good to see Smith Rowe back in the starting lineup for Arsenal.
Yeah, to say the least.
Arsenal get off to a decent start. Lacazette thinks he scored, but he's ruled offside. And that comes after a couple of penalty shouts.
John Moss had a rough one in this one.
This game was a very poorly refereed game. Yeah, definitely a couple chances that could have been given. I believe, I can't remember if this was the Ben White one or...
Yeah. I mean, the most egregious one we'll get to was the Wisa handball, but...
Yeah.
No, I thought Arsenal was looking good. At times it felt a little like that Burnley game where they just couldn't get one to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, at one point it did kind of just transition to like, it definitely feels like they're going to get it, which is strange how they got their goals given that when they're holding the ball in possession, they look so dangerous too. But, I mean, they're just feeding Saka on the wing the whole time.
Yeah, definitely Arsenal were in control completely throughout the first half. I mean, the possession was like 82%. Brentford really nothing going.
I did like Brentford's defense in this game, though. As shaky as it's looked at times, I thought Ayer did a pretty good job in terms of tackles, some interceptions, mainly clearances and blocks, too, out there.
Yeah, I think they benefited from the fact that they were pretty much just forced into defending only.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get caught up in the midfield or anything.
But that's kind of how they should have been playing, given the way that their midfields look lately anyways, I guess.
That's true. So, gets to the 39th minute, Arsenal pushing for the opening goal. And there is a blatant handball inside the box from Wisa. Sticks his arm out completely.
Yeah, the sliding from like a 45-degree angle at the ball, arm like bent right above the head. It went to VAR, right? Or they didn't tell John Moss to check it? Yeah,
they didn't have him check it. They just ruled it themselves and said it wasn't a penalty.
Wild.
And that brings up a point too. Some of the earlier ones, it seemed like they were reviewed for just a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then there will be other things where they're looking at it for 4 minutes, just trying to pick out small details to see if they could rule out the goal.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating, the lack of consistency that we see
with VAR,
with these referees. I mean, you would expect this season they should be at their best performance. They've got the full usage of VAR. They worked out the kinks.
Yeah.
But really,
do you think
this season has been one of the worst in terms of refereeing?
Do you think if Moss calls that a penalty on the field that VAR would have him go take a look to see if he wanted to overturn it? Like, I don't see how you could watch that video and say, like...
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they would fully agree that's a penalty.
That's so strange.
Yeah, and it's one of those things is that refs now don't really make calls on the field anymore. They just let VAR...
Yeah, they definitely have that in the back of their mind when making the calls, and it's almost like a built-in excuse for like getting stuff wrong. Yeah. They're like, well, I'll let it go, and worst-case scenario, they'll take a look at it.
Right. Yeah, they rely on it super heavily because they know that it's there, where they should be just refereeing the game.
This, you know what's getting bad is the offsides in terms of like letting the play continue and then putting the flag. It's like really, really bad. Yeah. It's like if you know it's offside,
right,
just call it off.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
This is how, and then, there's times where they'll let it play on, and then the shot goes in, and then they raise the flag, but it's like, well, I don't get why. It's like there could be like a serious tackle that ends up resulting in a penalty or something.
Right.
Or, there could even be a tackle and someone gets hurt, and it's like that could have all been prevented if you just called it how you thought it was.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, it's the same issue, consistency. We've seen it where they raise their flag when they shouldn't have. And then, many times where it's clearly offside and everyone knows it's offside, but they still wait to raise their flag. And it's like,
annoying.
These refs have to have some accountability, and they can't just rely on VAR to, rule the game completely.
Yeah, it's definitely the frame of mind of the refs. Like I said, they're just over-reliant on it that it'll fix their mistakes. They should just go out and ref how they normally do, and if, it gets overturned, it gets overturned or something, but
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Goes in, 0-0 at half.
Yeah, goes in 0-0 at halftime. You're thinking maybe this gets to be one of those games where Arsenal starts to feel the frustration. The fans get a little antsy in the seats, and but they come out at halftime, and who else other than Emile Smith-Rowe scoring off of the left-hand side past David Raya. Gets his 10th goal of the season. A very important goal for Arsenal.
Seeing as how good he's been this year, it felt like he wasn't super involved in this game, especially in the first half. I just don't know. I feel like he's one of the better playmakers in terms of creating a shot for himself and others in the Premier League, and yet I feel like Arsenal, part of it's squad rotation too, and he's been hurt a little bit, but there's that little stretch where he wasn't playing a ton, but he gets subbed on, he comes on, he gets a goal or an assist. It's like this guy just needs to be playing virtually all the time.
Yeah, I think one thing is that playing against a low block isn't like the most ideal scenario. And, who's to say whether it's, it doesn't suit his skill set, or if Arsenal just doesn't use him as much when playing against a low block, because it seems like Odegaard is used a lot more against a low block.
Yeah.
And Smith-Rowe, of course, he's really good at the kind of counter-attacking.
Yeah, which just in a way was like a mini kind of counter-attack fast build-up. Right? They took it off Brentford in midfield, and he just kind of made the run once he got the ball. But
yeah, one of the rare times Brentford was outside of their own box.
Yes, that happened in the second goal too. They had a little bit of possession, and then Arsenal able to break fast. I thought Partey was going to screw it up.
Yeah, he did well to get the ball.
He almost missed the window. Pass it to him.
Yeah, you could feel, Arsenal wanted that second goal.
Yeah.
Just for that comfort. Great goal by Saka.
Posting
he has sneaky good finishing. I mean, that was a wonderful finish.
For a winger and for a guy that a lot of people talk about his work rate and his defensive efforts. Yeah, I would say that he's definitely above average as far as finishing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of finishing, near the end, this is why they got the insurance goal.
Yes.
Strange, weird set piece from Godos into the box, and the ball pings around, and Norgard somehow onside, able to slot it home.
Yeah. That was a crap goal if I've ever seen a crap goal.
How dare you
just
say
to
that
ruin
about,
the clean sheet.
How about you? Yeah, get out of here. Mr. Norgard with 2 goals against Arsenal in the year. You better bring him in.
So that one ends 2-1. Definitely could have been a more lopsided score, but either way, Arsenal pick up the 3 points.
As far as Brentford, another loss.
Yeah.
They
poor performance. I mean, they got dominated for almost
the
all of the game.
was a little flattering to say the least.
Yeah.
But they got to get it turned around here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're slipping on that Leeds Everton territory.
Yeah, especially when you have teams around you that are picking up points. When you're struggling for points, that gap isn't insurmountable.
No,
by any means.
Not to say the least.
Speaking of teams that need to turn it around,
You could say both these teams at this point right now.
Aston Villa and Watford. Aston Villa been playing better, but the points haven't fallen in their favor.
Yeah.
Getting into the lineups for Aston Villa: Martinez, Cash, Mings, Callum Chambers starting at center back after Konsa sent off in the previous game. Luca Digne, Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, Jacob Ramsey, Buendia, Danny Ings.
Yeah, we called for it.
And Coutinho. For Watford, Ben Foster, Kamara, Cathcart, Femini, Samir, Luza, Cleverly, Sissoko,
Loser!
Josh King, Sarr, and Emmanuel Dennis.
That guy's forever known as Loser now. I don't know
What
if
do you
it's
say?
I don't know.
Louza?
I don't know if
Louza?
it's Louza or
Louza?
Louza, but Louza is so much better than
It might be
Louza.
Louza. I don't know. Louza, lose.
Louza is so much better.
You're a loser. You're on Watford. You're a loser. Until you're a winner, you're a loser.
Yeah, this one, Villa looking lively early. Ings with a run and a shout for pen. No avail really though on that one. You really couldn't call that one a
Yeah,
penalty.
it looked like Samir got enough of the ball.
Watford kind of transitioning. They actually were able to hold possession in this. But there was really nothing dynamic about their possession. It wasn't going forward really, and often led to a giveaway. Best chance of the game, 15 minutes in on the counterattack. Sarr to Dennis. Great save by Emi Martinez, keeping it 0-0.
Yeah, at this point, I felt like Watford had a pretty good game plan going on. Like, they weren't going to dominate the possession, and we know that with Roy Hodgson coming in. But, again, they're organized. They got that steady 4-4-2. They don't look super weak in defense or anything.
Yeah.
Didn't give up too many chances, and then they have a great outlet on the counterattack through Dennis. So, overall, I felt like it was a good game plan going into this game.
Yeah, I feel like that Norwich game was a massive wake-up call that Watford needed. Especially in defense. Ever since then, they've looked way more sharp at holding their formation. Ings with a chance at the 30th minute, but he was offside. He hit the post anyways, but Danny Ings was given chances this game. He just didn't really take them.
Yeah, definitely. That was the story of the game for Villa, having chances. Danny Ings, just very disappointing for us as we called for him to be put in the starting lineup.
Yeah, towards the end of the first half, Villa kind of definitely ramped up the possession, and in the second half they had a good amount of possession too, but they just never really got close to net. I felt like they were oftentimes settling for like long-range chances.
Yeah, I agree.
For no reason. Watford, good job of kind of packing the box too. It's not all just on Villa being incompetent in attack. Watford did a good job of, holding form. But eventually Watford get the goal on the counterattack. Great pass by Sarr to Dennis for the header.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see out of Watford. You want to see this dynamic attacking duo, Sarr and Dennis, kind of the lifeblood of this team, doing exactly what they're made to do, and that's to hit on the counterattack. Worked it perfectly. Wonderful ball from Sarr. You love to see it.
Yeah, we talked about how the last few games, too, for Watford's attack, how they were kind of lackluster. It felt like Dennis was never really on the end of chances, and the only time he was the one time against Brighton last week, and he hit the crossbar. So it kept falling to Josh King or Sissoko, and Sissoko had a chance in the second half, too, which he just had a shitter of a shot.
Into the side net,
Yeah, so it's about getting him. Even João Pedro, I know he didn't score that one against Burnley, probably could have, but getting those two the chances to score is probably going to be your best bet with Sarr setting him up. But
definitely.
At this point of your Villa, you're thinking, oh boy.
Yeah, things have gone awry, and that's for sure. 84th minute, Josh King has a great chance, shot close range. Martinez just in the right place at the right time. Ends up being a big save.
You have to probably sit Josh King. I know you're Watford. You don't have a ton of choices in terms of what you're looking at, but Josh King over the last 6 games has done nothing. It's not going. That it was point blank, and it's kind of all about chance from there.
Mm-hmm.
And Emi Martinez good keep, so he knows where to be and whatnot. But you gotta have that if you're Watford. But that was more concerning to me that after Watford scored, they kind of pushed on.
Yeah.
It wasn't Villa who responded; it was Watford.
Right. So,
I mean, I just felt like this whole game, Villa. We'll just get to it ends 1-0, but they were off, especially in passing quality and direction of attack. I thought they were able to carry the ball to a certain extent, and then that was about it. I thought their only real okay player in attack was Buendia this game. Did you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I like the point that you brought up earlier that they were settling for long-range shots far too often.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might just be one of the growing pains of Aston Villa trying to become a better team and establish themselves as more of a mid-table team. They're not used to, dominating a game in that sense, and how do we break down a low block?
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to have success when they can catch defenses out.
Yeah, and not necessarily only playing on the counter, but just, having McGinn or Douglas Luiz win the ball in midfield and then kind of just a little, fast build-up. Kind of like we were just talking about the Arsenal game. Kind of like those situations is where they seem to have success. And they're able to have Coutinho of late, Ramsey throughout the year, Buendia at certain times this year. Those guys kind of make the spark, and then they get Watkins or Ings involved. But it just hasn't been going really lately, minus the Leeds game for this attack. And, this is Stevie G's first real challenge in terms of figuring out this issue and what they can get going, because no goal against Newcastle, no goal against Watford. He's got to figure out ways that they're able to generate goals.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be a good test to see how they respond. Like you say, things aren't going to be good forever. You got to work through adversity, and that's really the key test for any manager to see how you get through that.
Yes.
On to the next match. We have Brighton versus Burnley.
Ho ho. Ho ho ho. Graham Potter, you think you can get away with a squad rotation against Sean Dyche's men? I don't think so. Not so fast, Graham Potter. To the lineups: Bobby Sanchez, Lamptey, Cucurella, Duffy, Feltman, Bissouma, McAllister, Lallana, Motor, Maupay, Welbeck. For Burnley, it's Pope, me, Roberts, Collins, Peters, Cork, Brownhill, McNeil, Lennon, Weghorst, and Cornier.
Getting into the game.
Burnley get going early.
Burnley, yeah, great start for Burnley. 10 minutes in, Connor Roberts, long-range chance, rings off the crossbar. They have some good early possession, looking lively.
It was very strange because it was like they're holding possession, yet everything resulted in long balls forward up to Weghorst to win headers, or eventually he'd just kind of, hold up play for a little bit and then get it to Cornet or, Roberts in one of the cases.
Yeah.
Kind of get it to one of the wide players. But, it felt like Brighton were pinned back by Burnley, which was already strange, let alone by Burnley's long balls.
Yeah, they couldn't really handle it.
It's not a bad idea because, no one in Burnley's midfield has the quality of Bissouma. So, you're just trying to work around him, I guess. You're like over the top of his head and we'll hope for the best.
Right. That's the thing I noticed about this game. One team played to the personnel that they had, and one team didn't.
Yeah.
Burnley, they got Wout Weghorst up there, and he's a big boy. They're going to hoof the ball up, and then they're going to hit, Cornet or Connor Roberts on the overlap.
Burnley might be the new injury team. Cornet always being hurt and Wout Weghorst also always being eternally injured. Yeah. They both go down 3 times a game.
Yeah. And then from a Brighton perspective, they want to play a possession-based game, control the game, pin Burnley back deep. But when you look at this lineup, this is not a possession-based team. You got Lamptey, Cucurella,
who I thought both looked fine in this game. Not their best games, but they looked fine. I thought where they were really let down was through because they don't have a ton of attacking presence out there. Mainly McAllister, mainly Maupay were their big letdowns. Welbeck couldn't really get anything going. Motors looked better lately, but you still can't rely on him a ton for attack.
Right. And Danny Welbeck is another one of those guys. They're much better suited for a counter-attacking game rather than a possession-based game. Most of the time, these guys just really aren't involved too much in the play. You're not utilizing them to their strengths, so that pretty much becomes wasted. I'd rather see, instead of Danny Welbeck, you throw another midfielder in and overload the midfield.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Pascal Gross or a
tough.
Trossard.
Yeah, it's tough because they clearly were going for a squad rotation too with Gross and Trossard sitting. But yeah, I completely agree. I was worried in this game that they'd be too passive, which they kind of were anyways in possession. But no, I think you're right. Graham Potter went for a certain play style with this lineup, and it didn't really make sense.
Yeah, it would have made more sense going up against a team where you know they're going to want to have more of the possession. You know, kind of like in that Liverpool game where you know Liverpool is going to be playing a high line. Well, you can take advantage of that through Lamptey or Cucurella. Danny Welbeck is always going to be better on the counter.
Yes.
So anyways, back into the game. First goal of the game, 21 minutes in. Great link-up play down the right-hand side between Aaron Lennon, yes,
Yeah.
and Connor Roberts, who cuts it back to Wout Weghorst with a beautiful first-time curling effort that gets past the defenders and the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't think you can expect any performance better than this or even three-quarters as good as this, maybe even half as good as this from Lennon this game. He was all over the field.
Yeah.
And he's actually just doing a ton of stuff in terms of the passing and the spacing. It's perfect. We liked Roberts when they brought him in. He brings a nice attacking dynamic to this team that lacks attack, especially from their wide guys. So, and he finds Weghorst, who's not taking his chances super efficiently early on, but he's helped out a lot in different areas other than attack. So
yeah, you can
it's good
see
to see him get a goal.
He's joined up in the team, quickly. He's taking a Burnley fast, and he's making an impact on the team, whether it be through goals or just through hold-up play and passing. He's got a good range of skills, and it's surprising to see that more teams weren't after him.
Yes. 24th minute. Great sequence with Brighton trying to counter, and Eric Peters just like doing the twister move. He's tied up with Neil Maupay, and Maupay throws him to the ground, but he grabbed him right by his butthole and just threw him to the ground. And the look Eric Peters gave, where he's giving this smile, this smile, this like shit-eating grin to Neil Maupay. So funny. I think the best part about it is neither got a yellow.
Yeah.
But like during that sequence, somehow Jack Cork got a yellow.
Yeah.
On like a foul.
Yeah, right. That's what I was confused about too. It's like, oh, that was like over there. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was paying attention to that.
Very funny.
Lallana with a great chance. Brighton in their possession, it kind of just felt like it'd fizzle out and they'd just be like, screw it, I'm going to cross the ball, and nothing would happen. And then there was a chance. And
Right.
it wasn't like a tap-in for Lallana. It was a decent ways out for a header, but he was so unmarked and he got enough on it that should have been in.
Yeah, the strategy just to send balls into the box towards like Neil Maupay, I don't like that. I mean, maybe Danny Welbeck gets on the end of one of those, but yeah, didn't like it. It seemed like they were just giving up on trying to work the ball.
Yeah.
40th minute, Brownhill scores one of the most crap goals of the season so far. The ball takes a couple of deflections. Just overall poor defending from Brighton.
Yeah, started with just a punt up field.
Into the gust of wind.
Yeah, held up by Wout Weghorst. who lays it off to Brownhill and kind of just took it on his own. A little cutback. Very lucky with the deflection, but
That's got to be the most Burnley goal you will ever see, with the ball swirling in the wind. Yeah.
we didn't even talk about the Bobby Sanchez
Oh,
and Duffy
yes,
going
sorry.
for the ball.
Yeah, a little
And then
scuffle
Duffy
between
comes
Brighton
back and
players.
just shoves him. And then Basuma has to walk in the middle like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
guys?
that was crazy when Duffy just went back there. I was like, hey.
This is what happens when Dan Burn leaves.
Yeah, Dan Burn was the true chemist of Brighton, and now they're just in shambles. So definitely not what you want to see. Yeah, shortly after that scuffle,
Conceding the goal.
conceding the goal, and Brighton looking like a real yikes in that moment. So it goes into halftime, 2-0 to Burnley. Great half for Burnley. Brighton just didn't work out. Coming out into the second half, Brighton makes some changes, and they looked a lot better to start the second half.
And it kind of
had a lot
felt
of
like it kind of
possession.
faded as it went, but early
Yeah.
on, yeah, I'd say they definitely looked better than they did in the first half, and just looked better than Burnley. Period.
Yeah.
As far as the play.
You could tell they stepped up the energy by a notch, and then,
Mhm.
like you say, it did ultimately fade.
Yeah.
And the true fading happened in the 69th minute as Burnley hit on the counterattack. Nice skill again from Lennon to create space, and then a wonderful
Amazing
finish off the crossbar and
Yeah.
in. Aaron Lennon.
Out of nowhere.
What is happening?
Out of nowhere.
Crazy.
Yeah, and back to Brighton real quick before we wrap this up, but I felt like if you just look at their players in this game, the only ones, like Kukurea was all right, Lamptey was all right, and I guess Solly March, when they brought him on, was decent, but other than that, no one really impressed me.
Yeah, center backs look poor. The midfield was...
I mean, that's just part of the rotation, too. They didn't have their main guys, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you expect Duffy and Veltman should be able to hold down against Burnley, but, with Voot out there,
He's just too big, too strong.
too big, too strong.
Dwight McNeil scoring, but Weghorst offside.
Just offside.
So it couldn't be 4. But Burnley will take 3. They'll take 3 points. They'll take 3 goals. First road win of the season. Second win of the season for Burnley. Back, a little, I guess not back to back, but is what I meant to say. Burnley with a win. Watford with a win. So the bottom of the table,
Yeah, bottom of the table's moving up. Newcastle, of course, are moving up. So that's putting pressure on those Brentford, caliber teams.
Leeds,
Everton, Leeds. Yeah, so those teams, they got to watch out. Norwich, they're probably going down.
Yeah.
But everyone else, fair game.
Brighton, as far as this game, you can just kind of chalk it up to, Graham Potter kind of getting wrong with the play, but also rotation. It's going to happen. But like we said, good result for Burnley.
Yeah, I was watching the post-game kind of press conference, brief interview with Graham Potter. He was taking the responsibility for that one, said he got it wrong. But, it's concerning when you see your players fighting each other. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, as far as Burnley goes, hopefully something to build off of going forward and get a run going. They really need it.
They at least have a chance now that the attack's somewhat going with Weghorst and Cornet.
Yeah, and the surprising thing, they scored 3 goals, and Cornet didn't score one of them.
Yeah. Moving on
to a game that seemed like it could have had a lot of goals.
Yeah, this
but only
game
had 1.
Definitely should have finished like 3-2.
Yeah.
We're talking Chelsea. We're talking Palace. To the lineups: Guaita, Mitchell, Guehi, Anderson, Klein. Little Nathaniel Klein action out there. Elise, Kouyaté, Ayew, Schlupp, MacArthur, Zaha. Once I saw Ayew and Schlupp, I was thinking, oh, no, Palace. Not like this. Mendy, Sarr, Rudiger, Christensen, Silva, Jorginho, Conte, Pulisic, Lukaku, Ziyech, and Havertz.
I feel like looking at this Palace lineup, I don't hate having Schlupp out there in a game like this one because there's going to be a lot of defensive work and You're
Yeah.
going to need a high work rate player as opposed to having like Edouard out there. I don't think he'll be really all that useful. Interesting to see
Is Will Hughes hurt?
Will Hughes.
I kind of would have liked to have seen him
Yeah, he's
out there. Maybe even Milivojevic. Not ideal, but I would have rather seen them kind of load up even more so. I get IU can press at times, but I don't really get the point of him out there with this team. If you have Elise as kind of a second attacking kind of guy, but, you know.
Yeah.
I suppose you don't want to go too defensive since Palace like to push it, but this is kind of a look at what life might be like next year at Palace with no Gallagher.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. It was interesting to see. You know, he's been so good. Second half of the season, you know, slight drop off, but Palace get a good start to the game. Elise has a chance that goes just wide. Would have been great to get that one early in the game. And then 9th minute, Christian Pulisic, just a awful miss at the back post. Skies it high.
It's because there's too much pressure on him. He knows that Palace are the team he normally pops off against, and then he's like, oh, no.
He's forcing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that ball from Ziyech dangling two guys and then getting that cross off was actually really impressive play.
Yeah, so lively start from both sides. Each side just kind of pushing the tempo.
Yeah, it was kind of open. Both teams kind of able to create chances. Continued Rudiger with the blast. That was a heck of a save by Guaita.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a wonderful save. Rudiger with the long shot. Yeah. As the first half went on, Chelsea gained control of the possession.
I'd say about the 20th minute. That's
Yeah.
when I noticed it picked up.
But the chances weren't really there that much. And, of course, Lukaku was a bystander in this game.
To say the least. I'd say their best chance for the rest of the first half after that Rudiger one. Conte had one.
Yeah.
I would say that was a pretty good chance. Other than that, I would say Palace probably had the better chances.
Yeah, I
Wilf
agree.
right before half on the counter.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like if someone was going to score, you're thinking, leaning more towards Palace on that one because, yeah, Chelsea just weren't all that impressive. They had a good early start, but then they kind of fell back into that lull. Conte had a great chance, like you said, but he ended up shooting right at the keeper.
Yeah.
So goes into halftime 0-0. I would say disappointing for Palace not to be up or have a goal at least.
Yeah, you could say that either way. I thought it was pretty balanced. I felt they should have been like 1-1.
Yeah.
For sure. Like the Pulisic chance, and probably, you could have said the Elise one. I'd say the Zaha one.
Yeah.
Those both should have been in the net.
Right.
That was bad.
Yep, I agree.
But then Palace, halftime breakout, their secret weapon, Jack Butland, comes on.
Jack Butland, the halftime sub.
They're like, there's a lot of shots going on out here, Guaita. Why don't you take it easy? We're going to put Jack
rest.
Butland in.
Yeah, they started off the second half pretty nicely as well. Great energy, and they were just pressuring Chelsea into making mistakes. And
Chelsea looked the worst side, like, by far.
Yeah.
By far. Giving the ball away. Schlupp with a chance on 55. Not able to take it. Skies it. Thought he snatched at it a bit. Could have worked it a little more, but... I noticed as the half went on, a lot of fouls in this game and a good amount of giveaways by both teams throughout the second half. The flow kind of got disrupted a couple times. As far as Chelsea, I thought they had nothing going in attack in the second half besides Ziyech.
right.
Honestly, that was about it.
Yeah.
Chelsea score, but offside in the build-up, Mr. Lukaku, who gets the ball, shoots it right at Jack Butland.
Yeah.
And then Ziyech got the tap and didn't matter. I don't know. I felt like in the last 10 minutes or so, Palace, they went, maybe last 15 or so, it wasn't that they sat low block necessarily, but when they got the ball, it didn't feel like they were pushing it forward as much as they were in the first half.
Yeah.
They're just kind of content to hold it And I feel like that really cut Chelsea a break. Because the game was there to be won. Palace could have taken their chances.
Yeah, I agree completely. This one is very disappointing for me. 89th minute, Ziyech scores the goal, tight angle, nice ball across from Alonso. Dirk Mitchell and Jack Butland both, I think, could have done better to prevent the goal.
Which just sucks because Mitchell had a fantastic game up until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And overall, Crystal Palace played really well in this game. You know, easily could have got a point out of it.
Could have got 3 if things bounced the right way.
Could have got 3. They played good enough. It was a great performance. It's just disappointing to give it up at the last minute there, 89th minute.
Yeah, and then Wilf had another chance at the end.
Yeah.
Kind of went for a Shoss, a ground Shoss. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So, all 3 points to Chelsea. They come back with a win. It's a very Liverpool-esque win, I thought, by Chelsea. One where it's like the other team has chances because your defense is open at times, but they don't take them, and then you take your chance with, you know, the one big chance you have, I guess. So,
speaking of Liverpool,
here they are.
Liverpool versus Norwich.
Here they are.
Into the lineups, Alisson, Van Dijk, Gomez, starting after 15 months. Tsimikas, Matip, Keita, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Mane, Salah, and Luis Diaz.
That might have been the strangest squad rotation out of Klopp I've seen.
Yeah, that was pretty random, but hey, you're playing Norwich, so it doesn't really matter. For Norwich, Gunn, Aarons, Gibson, Hanley, Williams, Gilmore, Norman, McLean, Rashica, Pukki, and Josh Sargent.
Good to see Norman back in there for him. And before we get into it, Brandon Williams, probably best game of the year so far.
Yeah.
He's had 1 or 2 good performances before, but a lot of poor ones, so
yeah,
good on him.
I think this game suits him better when they can play on the counter. That's his real strong suit, is hitting on the break, using his pace. Speaking of using pace, 3 minutes in, Rashica gets in behind the defense and scores. Unfortunately, he was offside. And then shortly after, another miss of the season candidate as Tsimikas blasts one high and wide from only 2 yards out.
The sad yet tired man, Tsimikas.
He looks tireder by the game. The bags under his eyes droop farther and farther.
He's the, what's the cartoon, Droopy Dog? You ever seen
Droopy Dog?
It's like a really old cartoon.
All right.
Look this up real quick.
All right, we're getting on the Google here. Droopy Dog. Oh,
There he is.
yeah, he does look like Droopy Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
kind of got the same hair, too.
he is the Zoomer version of
Yeah, the Zoomer
the
Droopy
Gen
Dog.
Z version of Droopy Dog.
All right, well, now everyone will think of Droopy Dog. Yeah, typical Liverpool game. They get a lot of chances, but they're kind of inefficient with their chances. And then there's that threat on the counterattack. We see it 15 minutes in. Pukki has a great chance, but he misses wide.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was bad. Diaz and Salah have some chances, just barely miss. Salah's was cleared off the line. It goes into halftime 0-0. You can kind of sense the frustration amongst Liverpool fans not being able to get that breakthrough.
Was it the one lady yelling?
You know, partially.
Come on!
Forward! It's like you can't just always go forward like that.
You can
doesn't
when
work.
you're playing Norwich.
But yeah, they do look vulnerable at the back like we've seen before. Coming out second half, Rashica, this guy gets his business done early because he scores from outside the box after a very large deflection from Joel Matip.
I was surprised that it wasn't going to be an own goal because how big the deflection was. It was on target, but at first I thought it was actually going to go wide in the deflection. Took it to the far post, but
yeah, I suppose by technicality.
And you know what that means? Since it was a goal for Rashica, it's an assist for Josh Sargent.
Josh Sargent. Rev up those bald eagles, boys. And then you really feel the frustration growing amongst the Liverpool fans at that point. Of course, Liverpool just pushing as hard as they can to get a equalizer. And it comes in the 64th minute as Sadio Mane gets on the bicycle.
Yeah. Typical Liverpool play, pinging the ball around. Was it Shimikas to Mane?
Shimikas. Yep. And of course, typical Mane to score the bike when he misses sitters all the time.
Yes.
This guy is
The wild card. Ultimate wild card. 2 minutes later, Salah.
Yeah.
All reliable.
Yep. Salah completes the comeback.
Heck of a ball by Allison all the way forward to him.
Quarterback Allison hits with the Hail Mary, and they score a touchdown.
That was wild. Waiting for the defender to run past and then slotting it behind him.
Yeah. And,
fantastic.
Putting Angus Gunn on the skates.
Yes.
See you later.
He could have done better with the Mane chance, I thought, too. Like, Mane could have put it anywhere, I guess, but it was pretty damn close to Agnes Gunn.
Yeah, it was.
He probably didn't know whether to kick save or parry it away with the hands. Couldn't do either. But then the third, Luis Diaz, the new boy. Great run, great find by Henderson to find him cutting across into the box.
This has to be one of the best through balls I've ever seen. Henderson just cuts through 3 lines of traffic from almost like the halfway line and finds Diaz perfectly in space.
Not to mention, it was a great run by Diaz, but it was a very strange run. Not often when you're set up holding possession there are you going to be running almost at like a 45-degree angle to where the ball's being played to. So amazing pass, amazing run. And then, the little chip, the far one. And then Mane missing the 4th chance, but that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
3-1.
3 points are secured for Liverpool.
Solid performance given the squad rotation. Norwich City, after you beat Watford, you might have thought you had a chance of staying up. Even getting Dean Smith, you might have thought you had a chance of staying up. Yeah. I'm here to tell you that there's still a 1% chance, but it's bad.
It was a decent enough effort out of Norwich. They showed some fight, showed some character.
Yeah, I mean, you get a goal, and it wasn't like it was a meaningless goal. You got to when the game mattered. So
yeah, in terms of Liverpool, their fans seem a little impatient. I mean, you're going to score versus Norwich. Calm down. But, whatever. Moving on to the next game of the week, Southampton versus Everton. Getting into the lineups, Fraser Forster, Walker Peters, Livramento, Salisu, Bednarak, Romeo, Ward-Prowse, Stu Armstrong, El Yunusi, Jay Adams, and Armando Broja.
We talked about Southampton, maybe squad rotation last week. Not really. I mean, Livramento for Perot, that's it.
Yep.
Hans kind of likes the team that he's got going there, Mr. Hasenhüttl.
He's finally found it. After 26 weeks.
After like 3.5 years.
This is it.
Everton. Let's hear it.
Pickford, John Joe Kenny,
Woo!
Holgate,
Woo!
Michael Keane, Coleman, Alan, Iwobi,
Woo!
Anthony Gordon, Donny van de Beek, Richarlison, and Calvert-Lewin. So a little hot and cold out of Everton. You love it, you hate it.
They might be the new like Jekyll Hyde team of like the bottom tier teams. Like, I don't know what to expect now. They lose to Newcastle. Then they stomp Leeds, and now they lose to Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of them. Let's get to the game. Early pen shout against Oriol Romeu. It was very strange that the replays they were showing were from like 70 yards away from the actual, and they're like, I guess not. It's like they couldn't get a clear shot of it. I don't know what that was.
That goes into kind of back to the Arsenal game where you decide to review some longer than others. It's like, did we really review this? Like, we looked at 2 angles that were like terrible and very far away and blurry. And we're like, okay, no, it's good.
You can only do so much with the technology that you have.
There's only 90 cameras around the stadium.
And they got 2 of them.
Yeah. So I think it should have been a handball. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like it hit his hand.
Yeah.
Or arm, so.
Yeah. Looked like he was chicken winging it.
What can you say?
What can you say? Another poor refereeing performance.
Southampton counterattack chance on 6th minute, not able to score. Through the first 15 minutes, I thought Everton was doing a good job of holding play. They just weren't really able to get anything going as far as chances on net.
Yeah.
I guess that stems to the whole game. They didn't have a shot on net.
That's pretty awful.
Not one team establishing themselves throughout this game. The first half was very back and forth, but not in a good way.
Yeah, very sloppy. A lot of giveaways in the midfield. Everton's midfield pretty much non-existent.
It was bad. Though they kept having, even just from a basic standpoint, Allen would just start running forward, or they'd have Holgate just start pinging long balls. It's this is not your best chance to win. What are you doing?
Yeah, and then you'd have Iwobi who's pushing up towards the front line, and it's well, no wonder why we can't get any possession, because there's literally a 40-yard gap between the defenders and the midfield.
Iwobi is trying to LARP as Joelinton. He's out there pressing and playing okay defense at times, and then he's just nowhere in attack, and it's what the heck?
Yeah.
There was because me and Sam, we normally don't watch games live. We watch this one together.
The replay.
Yeah, the replay. But say it, you know what I mean. But anyways,
we were doing a watch party, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
After the fact that it already happened.
Yes.
But no, there was one sequence in the first half where it was Everton held the ball for a good minute or so, and then Iwobi came on the screen. It's where was he?
Yeah, where was he?
Where were you? What?
He just doesn't do anything. And you made a comment during the game, it looks like Everton are playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
And it really did. Just how lackluster they were.
It was so bad. Big chance at 30th minute for Southampton off the corner. Massive save by Pickford, pretty much right on the goal line. That was really the only major chance of the first half. Second half kind of picked up pretty fast. Stu Armstrong, who I called into action, said we need to get him going.
Yes.
He gets a goal off of Everton giveaway. Nice play by Romeu, feeding Adams, who found Armstrong. No one getting out to challenge Armstrong.
Yeah.
Kind of has a good amount of the net to shoot at. Tucks it bottom corner on Pickford. Pickford frustrated. Thought he should
very
have
nice finish. Disappointing for Everton to allow that chance to happen.
Southampton in control around the 60th minute, playing much faster than Everton at this point. Big miss. El Unuasi in this one had a chance. Scores himself, not the ball, at the back
Scores
post.
himself, not the ball. Absolute classic. We're throwing that in the miss of the season contenders just for the fact that it was funny.
Well, it's still Southampton. They might be winning games, but they're still not immune from missing the most basic of chances.
There's something so funny when you score yourself and not the ball.
Shane Long scores, makes it 2-0. Posters Seamus Coleman.
Oh, beautiful. You love to see a little vintage Shane Long coming off the bench.
Ireland on Ireland crime.
That's true. Yeah.
Out there.
The old Irishman.
Yeah, Coleman and Pickford arguing about the goal.
Yeah.
That's what happens when there's 3 defenders and they still score. You're going to find your goalie and defense arguing.
And it's Shane Long winning the header.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably 5'9" or something.
Yeah. So 2-0 Southampton. They roll on. 4 unbeaten.
They can't be
for them.
stopped.
And I think
Champions League or bust.
Pretty much. They're throwing their hat in the ring.
The dark horse.
They're throwing their hat in the ring.
Arsenal, Man U, West Ham, Tottenham. No, for me, it's Southampton.
As far as Everton with this performance, back to square one. You thought maybe something to build off last week, but I thought they didn't really get Donny involved in this one as much, or Anthony Gordon for that matter.
Yeah.
They just really weren't super involved. They got to get those two as the main catalyst for distributing and stuff, because that virtually makes Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison useless if those two guys aren't in the game.
Yeah, right.
So,
I agree.
speaking of useless,
Manchester City, you piece of crap.
Sam is very angry at
You're supposed to win
Man City.
literally every game. Like, we've given you that.
Yeah. Here they are, losing to Tottenham. To the lineups: Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo, Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, Sterling, Silva, Foden. As far as Tottenham go, Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davies, Højbjerg, Royale, Sessegnon, Bentancur, Son, Kane, and Kulusevski. From the off in this one, you just have to know that Tottenham's going to be practically playing a low block. They like to sit back already.
Yep.
And they're just going to be looking for the counter. And they get it early. They got the counter. Tottenham, Son finally Kulusevski for the goal. Really starts with Kane kind of running back a little bit. First time flick past Diaz, who was playing Son on.
Mm-hmm.
Rare error from Diaz.
Yeah, that's just the skill out of Kane, is that he can play as kind of a hybrid 9/10, and he works so well to kind of come deeper, pick up the ball, progress it on forward to a faster player like Son or Kulusevski. And again, City are exposed for making the same mistake. Their defensive frailties are similar to that of Liverpool, where they push so far up, their back line is so far up, and then their fullbacks are very important parts of the attack, especially Cancelo, who acts as a midfielder a lot too. And then you just leave yourself open for getting hit on the counterattack, and you got to know that it's coming, especially out of Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how they want to play, and it worked perfectly. You just think that City gets this false sense of invulnerability when they're sitting on the ball for 10 minutes straight.
Kane hasn't been great this year, obviously, but he's still smart enough to know, where to be and whatnot. He finds that perfect space in between the defense and the midfield levels, and he's able to flick it on for Son. Son, great job dribbling all the way, pulling Ederson out, pulling, I want to say, I guess Diaz and Laporte. Otherwise, I don't really know where Laporte would have been. And then it's one-on-one with Kulusevski and Cancelo, and Kulusevski goes 5-hole on him on the empty net.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Kyle Walker was on that.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, is that City rely on Kyle Walker in these situations just out of his sheer pace, is that he's got to be that guy that gets back on those plays. And then, when you catch him higher up the pitch,
Yeah.
you kind of got free reign.
Yep.
It's such a reliance on Kyle Walker in that situation.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, when there's that much open space, and people are shitting on City. They're like, oh, and City have to actually defend. They can't. And it's like, that's not really the case. If there's so much space like that, I would always, when it's world-class players like Kane and Son versus world-class defenders, I would typically back the attacking guys when there's that much space,
right,
to make it work.
Yeah.
Especially when they have the pace advantage over the defenders.
Yeah.
But after this, City kind of get it going in attack. I've said that one of their, if not their most important midfield guy, that's besides De Bruyne, obviously, I always feel like it's Gundogan.
Yeah, for sure.
He's getting a lot of chances, hits the post. Eventually he'll score the rebound too. Poor play by Lloris, not holding on to the ball. But
Yeah.
what were your thoughts as City kind of ramped it up and then eventually tied the game?
Yeah, it was interesting to see, when City were down 1-0, that's a position that City aren't used to, and you could tell that their fans were getting frustrated with all the chances, kind of similar to Liverpool. The way you just kind of are putting on the pressure but can't score.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally get that goal. Yeah, like you said, it was a nice ball in from Sterling. Lloris really should have done better. It's a tough one, but you would like to see him do better on that one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people after this game were kind of calling for, they're like, where's De Bruyne? As if he's going to carry you every time you call his name or something, but I thought Silva had moments where he was pretty decent in this game, but nothing as far as cutting edge going forward.
Yeah.
Raz, you wouldn't expect him to pop up
No.
when you need a goal.
No, he looked pretty poor.
Foden wasn't really anywhere to be found. He's like, I feel like one of those guys that's just not going to be good if you have to score on a low block.
Yeah, exactly my thoughts. I agree. One player that stood out for me for Tottenham was Bentancur. I thought he looked really bad. He kept giving away the ball in the midfield. Just super frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially when you are getting so little of the ball and then just to give it straight back away.
Yes.
But anyways, goes into halftime 1-1. City still pushing to get a second goal in there. And coming out in the second half, I think Spurs know, one goal isn't going to be enough. 59th minute, Spurs hit on the counter this time. Beautiful ball in the box from Son to Kane. Hits it first time and scores. Just a beautiful play out of Tottenham. And, I was saying, I think last week, Son hasn't been as impressive this year.
Yeah.
But this game, he really stepped it up.
Yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, Son struggles against Wolves, apparently, that we found out last week.
Yeah.
So maybe after that, he's got to channel his frustration. But no, even on that play, to get it wide to Son, and Sessegnon was right there with him, that leaves City in a 1-on-2 scenario from that spot. And then even by the time you recover, Son's already got the cross lined up and Kane's behind you.
Right.
So I thought it was just really, in terms of getting back, City was doing pretty poor job at this game. I mean, if you're going to play the way you do where you get everyone on the one side of the pitch, you got to know that you're going to be able to get your ass back in time to defend. And I felt like they're just lackluster when it came to that.
Yeah, it's disappointing to give up a goal, kind of in similar fashion as the first one. It's like, how many times you need to learn your lesson that they're going to play like this?
Yeah.
Like, exactly that's how they're going to play. But still, City, that's kind of one of City's downfalls, is that they kind of only have one way of playing. And most of the time, it's when they're leading.
Yeah. One sub that Pep made that I really liked was Mahrez, who's been on fire, like Premier League and Champions League lately. For Sterling, I don't know why he wasn't in the first place. I like Mahrez in terms of creation, whether it be for himself mainly, but he can do it for other people at times with his dribbling against a low block. If you were able to get him isolated on a guy like Diaz or, Dyer, I feel like that'd probably be your best bet, rather than your passing, obviously, which is your main way to go. But,
yeah,
I mean, a guy like Raz, I don't know what Sterling provided. I didn't like that selection by Pep.
Yeah, he got fooled by the Norwich hat trick out of Sterling. But yeah, I do like Mahrez in this situation because, City do like to get the ball down to the end line and then kind of pull it back for a cross, and he's really good at doing that and just has great individual skill in the tight spaces. Ederson makes a massive stop on
Harry Kane. I thought Kane should have scored that.
Yeah,
it was a good save, but I definitely thought he should have scored that.
I think he should have scored that as well. And then at the other end, Lloris with one of the saves of the season, a curling effort from Gundogan. Wow, that was so close.
Thought he tore his pec going for that one.
Yeah, that was a marvelous save. And then, again, Tottenham hit on the counterattack. This time, Kane scores a deflected pass from Kulusevski, ruled out because Kulusevski was initially offside. Just another warning sign for City.
Yeah, it's, what are you going to do? It's like Pep was not giving any instructions or anything to his guys. I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch that Tottenham could do this.
Yeah. And then coming towards the end of the game, City was really just pumping balls in the box. You have De Bruyne, with his kind of trademark, he's like, 5 yards out of the box, swinging, in-swinger curler into the box.
Yep.
And it was just like that, like continuously.
Yep, exactly.
And then eventually it gets to a point, 90th minute, penalty awarded after a handball from Christian Romero.
Yeah. Good game for
VAR.
Good game for Romero, and then that just kind of flushed it down the toilet. Very similar to Tyreek Mitchell, where it's like it went from a good game to average game because you made the one mistake. But
yeah, I agree. Mara steps up, 2-2 converts, and you're thinking at that point maybe City can pick up a winner, or
they at least got a
hold on
point.
to
Yeah,
a point.
Instead, their defense crapped all over themselves once more, just for good measure.
Yes, they did.
3-2. Kulishevsky going down right off the kickoff, out wide, swings it into Kane. If you watch it closely, the rotation between Walker and Diaz, there's just a massive miscommunication on who has who. Because I forget who, maybe Lucas Moura was near Kane, and they almost did like a twist in terms of one guy goes one way, one guy goes the other way to cross up the defenders. But Walker stuck on his side. Diaz went with the guy that I think it was Lucas Moura. I'm almost positive. Went with Moura, left Kane virtually unmarked. No one could get to him.
Yeah.
Scores it.
Yeah. You would like to see Walker do a bit better, but that's a tough one in that scenario. And Tottenham get all 3 points at the Etihad.
Sam was very frustrated.
I just want to preface this by saying I almost couldn't bring myself to watch this game. Just out of pure anger and frustration.
I was laughing at Tottenham and then laughing at City. That's the joy of being a neutral. You just get to say, oh, no, stinky, Tottenham blows it again. And then Man City's like, let me one up you. Well, I guess, you talked last week about how Tottenham can't keep pulling these wins out of their butt for no reason, but
apparently they can.
Not necessarily, because they blew it against Southampton. I think they're just a team that is so anything could happen.
Yeah.
They have the quality to get the winners, but they also have just the lack of focus and at certain parts of the field, lack of talent to allow this. So they've done incredible against Leicester, and then they absolutely just they pretty much do the Leicester to themselves when they're playing Southampton. And now this game, they have it go their way. I mean, it's just, I think you're right, though. This just proves the point. You can't rely on this just crazy dramatics at the end of games. You don't know which way it's going to go with this side.
Yeah, eventually it's going to even out.
Yeah.
It has to. But you got to say it was a great performance by Tottenham.
6 shots, 3 goals.
Credit to Conte and to the players. I think they showed good character out there. I like Eric Dyer as opposed to Sanchez.
Well, Sanchez was on the bench this game.
Right. And, I think Eric Dyer, maybe not the best player, but, he's
I mean, he's
a leader.
Practically their second choice center back behind Romero, I would say. And somehow now Davies is ahead of Sanchez, which both of those guys are toss-ups anyways, I think. So
yeah,
you can't really count on either.
I think it was impressive to see the mentality that, despite, they went up and then they conceded and then they went up again and then they conceded a late goal, but they just kept on focusing on the game plan. They didn't allow City.
Yeah.
That when you go to the Etihad against City and you play like that, where you're playing this low block for most of the game, that requires just a enormous amount of concentration, focus. Every player has to be paying attention at every second.
Not to mention, besides that defending style, to know that once you do get a chance, you better make it count because you're getting maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like Kulishevsky in this game. He looked like a good addition to Son and Kane.
That's what I was going to say. They kind of struggle a little bit. We talked about this earlier in the year where it's like they don't really have that third guy because it was Ali, and then obviously he, has fallen off quite a bit. And you would like to think it's Bergwijn, but he's not super consistent.
Sometimes
And
Mora.
you'd like to think Mora, but he has injury problems too at times. So, maybe Kulishevsky will be that. I thought he did a fantastic job this game in terms of defense as well. He was almost stuck pretty much on Cancelo. And Cancelo, people were shitting on Cancelo on social media and stuff. Don't even. This was like one of his worst games of the year, and he probably put in like a 7 or an 8 for a performance. So, I was just impressed by Tottenham executing as well as they did, given how their defenses look for a few games now.
Yeah, and I would say something similar regarding Romero is that people are regarding him as like just a superstar player, and it's like, okay, let's maybe pump the brakes. I think it's a little easier to look good when you're parking the bus as a center back, and he's only played like 10 games. Let's see some more, a longer sample size.
I think he looks really good for good portions of the game, and then sometimes he'll just make a mistake. Obviously, in this game, the handball, but when he's out there, he'll one or two mistakes during the game, and for whatever reason, it seems like it's cost his team a goal for those mistakes. But no, I think he still is a really good player. I wouldn't say star. If we're talking star defenders,
Yeah, people are saying he's
not
the next Virgil van Dijk.
I was going to say, you're not Van Dijk. You're not even Thiago Silva right now.
Yeah.
You're not Tony Rudiger. You're not... Shit, I'd say Gabriel's better.
Yeah.
I would say first off Dan Burn.
Dan Burn, yeah. 100%.
I'd say Michael Keane.
Michael Keane.
No, but I mean,
cheeky Eric Peters face.
He's still good, and he's got time to adapt. So I mean, maybe nothing can be ruled out, I guess. But no, I wouldn't say star. But he is definitely a very good center back in a team that needs stability at center back. So
yeah.
City going forward, anything for them?
City going forward, it's just it's so frustrating watching them, and when they have no plan B, and you can
for how good they are,
and you just see De Bruyne like pumping balls in the box, and it's like it's the same thing. You gotta try something different. I mean, I'd like to see them not like jam pack the space so much, and try and space things out a little better and try and pull out the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I agree, but in this one against Tottenham, it's going to be tough because Tottenham are just going to sit back anyways. We saw what they did against Chelsea. We've seen how they played this game against City. So, I mean, City will do that when they can. They played Brighton earlier this year, and they were able to do that. But, yeah, I just maybe a little rotation out of City. Maybe for sure Mahrez has to be starting now.
Yeah.
Maybe
some of the personnel choices
a little strange.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
That's what happens when you get fooled by a Raheem Sterling hat-trick.
That's what happens
Norwich.
when you don't have your superstar Nathan Ake in the lineup at all times.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of superstars, we got Manchester United and we got Leeds United.
Absolutely wonderful derby. This one, Leeds lineup: Meslier, Ayling, Llorente, Stuart Dallas, Struijk, Forshaw, Koch, Dan James, Jack Harrison, Click, and Rodrigo up front. For Manchester United, David De Gea, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Pogba, Jay Lings.
Yeah.
Jay Lings, hello. Bruno, Sancho, McTominay, and up front, none other than CR7.
Yeah, Ralph Rangnick must have seen that Lingard post that picture of him working out, being jacked and all. And he's like, I got to get this guy in the lineup right now.
You seen this guy?
Heard about this guy? Seen this guy? Harrison getting involved early for Leeds. I thought Leeds were buzzing right off the bat, just in general, against
That
United.
atmosphere was amazing. Ellen Road was rocking. The wind was blowing. The rain was coming down.
The weather in this one, you thought they're playing a Burnley or something.
This was some... this is a Premier League classic.
Yes. Pogba had a chance in the first 10 minutes as United kind of settled the game down a bit, but not able to do anything with it. Robin Koch getting knocked out this game.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on that challenge by McTominay?
That had to be a yellow, maybe a red, but for sure yellow.
Yeah, definitely at least a yellow.
It's up for discussion.
Borderline red.
Yeah.
I would say the fact that he was not
Orange
going
card.
for the ball at all.
Yeah.
He was, going higher kind of towards his head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a potential red card.
Yeah, I thought so too. The announcers didn't really discuss it that much, but...
Yeah, I think this just goes to show, like, what the hell were they thinking giving Paul Tierney this game? What an absolute joke of a refereeing appointment. I mean, this is a massive appointment, and you give it to Paul Tierney,
He's a sad, hunched over
he
man.
is not very good, and did not give a yellow card in that situation.
Wild.
Shocking.
Yeah, sloppy weather, sloppy passing, believe it or not. CR7 proven to not be a tap-in merchant at the 26th minute as Meslier with a massive save. Meslier with another big save on Bruno from the edge, set up a corner, which goes in for United to make it 1-0.
Some really poor marking out of Leeds on that one.
Llorente, just turn your back and hope for the best.
Yeah, pray Slabhead doesn't come and get you.
Ari scores.
Hits the knee slide.
Oh, right in front of the Leeds fans.
With wonderful distance.
Yes. Chance before half for Leeds, not able to take it. And then United take their chance right before half. United set up by... Nice run by Lindelof, little 1-2.
Yeah.
And then to dime from Sancho.
Don't mind if I do.
Sancho to Bruno for the headed tap in.
Yeah, that was a really nice ball from Sancho. Good to see that out of him.
Yeah, he's finally got it clicking a little bit. Took him quite a while, but...
Yeah, that's just one of those things. Like, you gotta ride a guy, even if he's not in the best of form. When it's a Sancho caliber player, like, you just have to get him going.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
I don't know. Earlier in the year, eventually they had to sit him because it just was clearly not going to go. But I think the idea of force-feeding him when he's out there is probably what's going to be for the best to get his confidence up, because he's definitely a confidence guy.
Yeah. Goes into halftime, 2-0 United. I thought I was disappointed. Leeds started out good. They had some good kind of counterattacks that they didn't really end up getting any chances out of, but they looked, dangerous.
Yes.
And then as the half went on, it just kind of fell off.
Yeah, they really only had the one right before half that I can remember after about like the 20th minute or so, 25th minute.
Yeah, and I didn't even think United looked all that good. They looked kind of slow in their build-up.
Yeah, everyone in this game was just kind of sloppy. It was a matter of almost like who can be as conservative as possible while, being able to take one chance and you hope for the best. But then it completely opened up.
Yeah.
Second half, Shoss of the week.
Shoss of the week, possibly of the season.
Yeah, this was a peach. Rodrigo. Talked about he's been playing better lately.
Yeah.
Little
he's
unlucky.
been due for a banger.
Yeah, a little unlucky on these crossbar hits, and then he gets this one. That makes up for at least one of the crossbar hits.
Yes, exactly. The Shoss is a... it's the true equalizer.
Yeah,
that's why we strongly believe in the Shoss.
It's the ultimate tactic. Man City had to break one out against Tottenham. They could have maybe won or drew.
Yeah, I hit off the crossbar. Yeah, it's funny though. The commentators always, after a Shoss, they have to be like, "That was a cross. That was a cross. He did not mean that." And it's like, yeah. We get
stay
Stop
seething.
being a Shoss hater, bro.
Yeah, you chud. this is we're Shoss Chadge out here.
Yeah,
in honor of Louis Van Gaal.
We live and die by the Shoss. And then just seconds later, Rafinha taps in from close range, just blitzkrieged United.
Tielemans?
I said Rafinha.
Okay, I was looking at your notes, and it was like almost the same time as the one, but that's the Wolves Leicester game when I peeked up. I was very. I thought
He's
you completely
lost in the Shoss.
Yeah,
Put that on a T-shirt.
lost in the Shoss.
New merch coming out soon.
Yeah, no, I was so surprised that Dan James. He's like going in, and he's just able to back up, and no one went after him.
Just hits him with the I know.
And then he just swings it all the way across. United's defending again after halftime. I don't know what Ralph Rangnick tells these guys.
Go out there and have fun.
Yeah, good luck, have fun. I don't know what it is because they keep constantly blowing leads, or at least just in general conceding right after half.
Yeah, really. It was weird because going in halftime 2-0, it seemed like United were in control of the game.
Yeah.
Leeds looked kind of meh. And then they just got hit with this spark of energy. Scored 2 goals.
Not a foul on Bruno, right?
No, never.
Yeah.
Clearly once the ball, I was quite afraid that they were going to call it a foul.
You never know. Foreshadow the takeaway. Yeah, I'd say the first 15 minutes, Leeds was the best team in the second half. But, as it went on, it was very much like the first half. United very slowly, methodically, kind of in a boring fashion, kind of taking control of the game.
And it was just hilarious because there was so much water on the pitch. Like, you couldn't dribble the ball. Like, you had to pass it. Anytime you try and dribble, it's like, oh, my God, the ball is going nowhere.
Yeah.
So that was entertaining.
Fred giving him the lead back.
Yep,
another
coming
assist
on
for Sancho.
As a substitute, Fred with a very nice finish, you gotta say.
Fred with more domestic goals than Lionel Messi. What world do we live in?
More than Lukaku.
Freddie's too good. He's unlocked.
77th minute, McTominay gets his first yellow.
Yeah.
77 minutes and numerous fouls. Paul Tierney says, okay, it's time. Yellow card.
Yeah, that was wild.
And that easily could have been second yellow card worthy.
There are other ones. He had plenty of fouls before then, too. But
yeah, for sure.
De Gea saving the click shot. That was a rocket. Unfortunately, just right at De Gea.
Yeah.
And then Struijk literally feet stuck in the mud as Bruno flicks it around him.
Yeah, Struijk had a rough go in this game.
Yeah, flicked around him. Bruno flicks it to himself and then sets up Elanga on the pass for the clincher, 4-2.
That was pretty awesome from Bruno. That
the
flick,
flicker around.
That was dirty. That's more like Bruno, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's still been playing good these last handful of games. It's just the chances haven't been sinking for his teammates that he's been setting up, or even last game he had a miss they should have scored, but I still feel like he's playing pretty decent. So it finishes 4-2. Leeds defense terrible as always. In this game, a little unfortunate with the weather. Not much you could do. Could have been worse if Melia didn't make that save on Ronaldo. But for United, good result. Not the best performance, but I don't think you're going to have a great performance with that weather, to be quite frank. And honestly, as long as Man U keeps it boring, which is very unfortunate because they're a very fun team to watch because they don't keep it boring, whether that's good or bad for them in terms of their scoring goals or conceding goals. Yeah, I feel like as long as they keep it boring kind of and conservative, they're more than likely going to win matches.
Yeah, I thought they did well to kind of counter the atmosphere from Ellen Road. They kind of slow it down.
Yeah.
Make it harder for the fans to stay in the game, make it harder for Leeds to stay in the game, and just kind of take the sting out of the game.
Yeah, kind of limit the atmosphere and the impact of the fans on the game. I completely agree.
So room for improvement, but, moving up in the right direction.
Moving on, Wolves, Leicester, final game of the match week. To the lineups we go. Jose Sa, Connor Cody, Max Kilman, Romain Saiz, Ait Nouri, Ruben Neves, Nelson Semedo, João Montinho, Leander Dendoncker, Raul Jimenez, Daniel Podence. For Leicester we got Kasper Schmeichel, Mr. Soyuncu, Amarte, Pereira, Thomas, Tielemans, Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, Albrighton, Daka, and Lookman.
You know, when I saw this lineup, I was thinking, I don't really like that front three.
You know what I was thinking when I saw this lineup? That's what I thought. I don't like this. I just don't like Leicester right now. They just frustrate me. Getting Ndidi back in there, though, but he hasn't been as great this year. I just don't. I'll never get the whole, like, if you're going to be, like, 10th place, why are you playing Mark Albrighton?
Yeah, that was
And they're not finding any way to get, like,
strange.
Sumare involved, even though he's been this year, to say the least.
Same with Iheanacho.
Yeah. Even if you threw in, like, I mean, he hasn't played for a while, but Jose Perez, like, at least it'd be something different to spice it up.
He
and then
seems
Madison.
like a good guy for that when you need to just switch things up.
Yeah, just to
him in
throw a wild card out there. Madison out for a little rotation, comes back in later in the game. But this game, I'd say in the first half, a lot of it had to do Leicester relying on the counter or really fast build-up in terms of when they did win the ball back. I thought, Wolves were a little exposed at times against Tottenham. And I was like, what about this? And then in this game, they were a little exposed against Leicester, so maybe some teams figuring them out or something. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I
Or
think
is it just the wrong kind of style these last couple games that they played? In terms of the opponents playing a style that matches well with their defensive style.
I feel like they're kind of opening themselves up a little bit more defensively by way of them being more attacking, if that makes sense. I don't think there's anything too wrong with that. They've been severely lacking on the goals department, but they have a good start. 9 minutes in, Neves scores from a long-range effort in classic Neves fashion. Nice little layoff.
Smart
from
play by
Jimenez.
I love Jimenez this year.
Yeah.
So good at knowing what to do with the ball, not just snatching at chances like a regular 9. Knows when to distribute, knows when to shoot, knows where to be.
Potentially could have been saved.
Yeah, I don't think Schmeichel saw it until the very end, and he got a hand on it, but it wasn't enough. I think because for a while, once Neves is touching the ball, and as soon as he starts to wind up, there's still a guy in the way, but then they move out of the way. So
I think Leicester have a Kasper Schmeichel problem.
Yeah,
they need to replace him, but I don't think they will. Kind of out of respect.
Yeah, I don't think he's been like terrible this year, but I think he's definitely been not only below what his level is, maybe even below average, but he's leading the league in saves this year, and I don't say that as like a good thing. I mean, you shouldn't be relying on Kasper Schmeichel to lead the league in saves. He's always been a guy that's pretty damn good, and he'll come up with big saves when you need it, and he's a good leader out there in terms of organizing defense, but you can't just fire a bunch of balls at him and he's supposed to save them all. Like, that's not what he's going to be best at. You agree?
Yeah, I just think like the standard of goalkeeping in the Premier League has kind of jumped up a step, and I feel like he's kind of declining. So there's room for improvement on that end. But yeah, he's not the main problem. The main problem is that the defense has been really poor.
Yeah, I would say that Schmeichel's probably middle of the pack for keepers.
I would say towards the bottom.
Say towards the bottom?
Personally, for me.
I'd say he's in the like 12 to 13.
I think he's really slow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he brings certain intangibles that help out.
That's fair.
But I think his shot stopping has definitely dropped off. And like I was saying, I feel part of that's just he's been overburdened this year. Like, compare last year's defense to this year's and how much they're asking out of him. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Night and day.
Yeah. Wolves go on. Aït-Nouri with a chance. Couldn't take it. It's nice play by Connor Cody. Keep it alive.
Yeah, I thought Aït-Nouri and Podence were looking good.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, Podence for a while has just been like really good as like a secondary playmaker for them. Aït-Nouri in attack looked good this game. The goal they conceded to Lookman in the 41st minute was kind of his fault in a way. Him and Saiz just got mixed up and allowed Brighton, who I've been shitting on for a while.
He's very fast.
Yeah.
You don't really think it, but he's pretty fast.
He's quick. Lookman, far post, tap in, goes in, 1-1. I thought Wolves looked, they looked a little vulnerable, and Leicester were able to get a good amount of shots, but I thought it was still fairly balanced.
There was that moment, I forget, was it before the second goal where Podence kicked the ball at Lookman?
Yeah.
Like from point blank range, and then Lookman runs up behind him and pushes him over.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
That was. Coming out of half, I thought Leicester did look the better team for a little while. As you've noted, Tielemans, now he comes up rather than in the Leeds game. Has a chance, but it's just a little high. I thought he blasted it kind of from where he was. Yeah,
he had more time probably than he was expecting, which is surprising, from a Wolves perspective. You wouldn't expect that much time in the box.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like he didn't expect it, so he just kind of snatched at it a bit.
Yeah.
And then Podence, nice play by Wolves to matriculate the ball up the field. And a nice little passing sequence laid off to Podence.
Outside the box, FC.
Yeah. Fantastic.
That was very nice.
Chances throughout for Leicester. Not able to put anything together really towards the end of the game.
James Maddison trying to get something going, but
yeah, nothing. I thought Saw did pretty good in this game. A lot of the shots were savable, but still must be saved.
Yeah, he did what he had to do. Had some good distribution throughout the game as well.
Yeah, so 2-1, Wolves push on, trying to go for their Champions League or potentially Europa League spot this season. As far as Leicester go, I don't know. They say Rodgers is safe. I guess you just got to keep him and hope you bring in the right guys in the summer window and you can rebound. But this year's definitely a major, major step back from where Leicester had been building up toward, to say the least.
I feel like in the broader scope of things, this season was almost a throwaway from the very get-go, with Fofana getting injured in preseason. You've had Jamie Vardy, hasn't played all that much this season.
No, he's scheduled to come back pretty soon, I saw.
Yeah, he's missed a lot of time. James Maddison's been pretty out of form. Harvey Barnes been pretty out of form. You were missing a bunch of key players.
I would say Maddison was out of form early in the year. I feel like he's kind of found the groove. He's not quite peak Maddison, but he's like in that 80 to 90% of what he was range.
Yeah. You had key players missing for African Cup of Nations, and then just overall general injury struggles throughout. So it's just kind of been a throwaway year. I still believe in Brendan Rodgers. They do need to, bolster the squad by quite a bit.
They can't afford to get it wrong like they did this last summer. And I don't know. It is a bit of a cop-out in a way to say like it's a throwaway year because he had, Fofana go down and
then Johnny Evans
early.
too. But you shouldn't be relying on Johnny Evans at this point.
No. And if you're going to spend money on a defender because Fofana goes out, it better be better than Vestergaard or a guy who at least makes sense with your system.
Yeah, that was a complete waste of money on Vestergaard. Sumare hasn't been able to get off the ground.
Lookman's had moments. Daka's had moments.
Yeah, Lookman
but those are like
fine
secondary
as like
guys.
A squad player.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He'd be good like any other season, but now it's like too much reliance on him almost.
Yeah, I worry too about. I think there's a chance that they might sell Tielemans in the summer, so you're gonna have to worry about replacing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that looks pretty likely.
Yeah, so you're going to need to sign a number 8. I think Dewsbury Hall, I guess, can do that. Yeah. Sometimes he's a little wide, sometimes he's a little further back, so
he's been kind of the one bright spot of their season.
He's developed nice, but I don't know if he'll be a direct replacement for Tielemans, but
No, he
they're
doesn't
gonna have to figure
out that kind of finishing quality, attacking quality.
Yeah. So, and then you still have Ndidi and I guess Sumare. You're gonna have to figure out how to incorporate those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you're saying about Schmeichel, you're gonna have to look to bring in another keeper sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you need another center back too.
Yeah,
Vestergaard.
that's at least
just
comfortable, at least somewhat comfortable on the ball.
Right.
It can't be a Vestergaard, a guy who's gonna like win aerial duels, but
Yeah.
he like can't move. His feet are in cement, and he can't distribute the ball. Like you can't have that with this system that Rodgers has in place. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to do for Leicester. A lot to do. They might be, the way we said Palace had the most to do last summer in terms of revamping, it might be Leicester this year.
Yeah. Without looking at the teams, yeah, they're definitely
Of teams
up
that'll
there.
for sure stay up. I mean, there's a couple
Right.
teams that,
Right.
but all right. I have a team of the week.
Team of the week. Let's hear it.
Team of the week. Scroll up here. All right. In net, we have Saw. Like I said, didn't have amazing saves. Maybe one or two okay ones, but he made about 7 of them. Kept his team in the game. A very strange back line of Target. I thought he did a good job going forward and in defense.
Yeah.
Samir. It was more Villa didn't play that well, but hey, you know.
They did the job.
Yeah,
Clean
exactly.
sheet.
And he had a good amount of blocks and clearances. Thiago Silva didn't have a ton to do, but was efficient with when he had to clean up. As far as midfield, we have Saka, obviously instrumental in Arsenal's win. Brownhill, good defensive effort, and then got a little fortunate with the goal, but still scored. Oriol Romeu, great job making sure Everton could do literally nothing in midfield, and had an instrumental dribble to a goal. Kulishevsky, goal and assist for him against City, big time. Attacking 3, Salah, obviously was the goal in like 8 shots. Kane, 2 goals. Sancho, 2 assists. There's the team of the week.
Very nice.
Right there.
I think I would have put in Connor Roberts.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't know. I mean, it's weird because Kulishevsky's supposed to be like a wide player, but the way Tottenham are using him, it's like
He's kind of just a winger.
he's kind of like a winger, but then he is dropping back
It's like
at
a
times.
Joelinton.
Yeah, he's pretty much Joelinton, except he actually attacks too.
Dang, wait, that's our guy you're talking about.
I know, but
Joelinton.
he's
He's cool. We dap him up, yeah.
Joelinton locks people up. Kulishevsky, he did well against Cancelo, but
Yeah, he's more
know.
just like at times Tottenham were playing a flat 6 back line.
it was like 7. It was like 7, maybe 8. Time to predictions.
Yes. Speaking of Spurs.
Couple midweek matches starting Wednesday the 23rd. Burnley, Tottenham, Turf Moor.
Come on, Voot. Let's see it again from Burnley. Come on, boys.
More like let's see it out of Tottenham.
No,
I
I
don't
want to
think-
see it out of Tottenham.
Well,
I've had
obviously
enough.
you don't.
I've had
but
enough. I've had enough. I gotta watch it.
Obviously,
I've been subjected to enough torture watching
I-
Tottenham get these 95th minute winners.
I need to see it out of Tottenham to have any semblance of faith. I need to see a comfortable win.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can. Burnley in this one, yeah, they're gonna have hopefully Weghorst will be starting in there for them, and hopefully Cornet is good enough to go. I think that combination could really exploit Tottenham's back line, especially
direct football.
You know, we saw Brighton kind of get pinned in by Burnley. Maybe Burnley's just a possession team now.
Maybe they play the revolutionary long ball possession game. It's a beautiful thing to see.
What are we looking at for this one? I'm not sure that they would be as afraid of Brighton's midfield,
No.
or Tottenham's midfield as much as they were of Basuma and Brighton's midfield. But what are you looking at in this one?
It'll be interesting to see the dynamic. Do Spurs dominate the game? You know, how much is Burnley into this game? But overall, I think it'll be Spurs 2-0.
I'm gonna go 1-1.
Okay.
I don't have faith in Tottenham. Prove me wrong, Tottenham. Watford, Palace at the Vic.
At the Vic, Watford playing a little better, a little more organized. Crystal Palace had a good performance against Chelsea.
Yep. Their defense holding up a little better as of late. I feel like this one, Gallagher will be out there. He'll be fresh. He always plays, and it's generally always 90 minutes, but he's always playing. Just nice to get him a break. Maybe he'll be refreshed in this one.
Yeah.
I don't fully trust either defense, but since they've both been playing better lately, I'm going to go with a 0-0.
That's a fair shot.
The Roy Hodgson derby.
Yeah, the Roy Hodgson derby. Yeah, and it's somehow both teams are going to have 30% possession.
Yeah, the ball's going to be in the air for the extra 40%. No one's going to have it. I could see it 1-1. I can't pick a winner in this one. I'm just going to go 0-0.
I want to see Palace get some goals. I'm going to say 2-1 Palace.
Liverpool leads at Anfield.
I don't feel good about this.
Crazy game a couple years back at this fixture, but yeah, Leeds' defense right now is just so poor. You could see it be like 6-0 Liverpool. I'm just going to go with a solid 3-0. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Leeds get one. Liverpool's defense. That's the thing that, that's like the 10% chance Leeds win is because Liverpool's defense is just a little too leaky at times. Mm-hmm. And if you get the right ball to Jack Harrison out wide or Rafinha, who knows? But yeah, 3-0 Liverpool or 3-1 Liverpool.
I'm gonna say 4-1 Liverpool.
Arsenal, Wolves. This game literally just happened. Here we are again. At the Emirates this time. What changes do you expect from the first one? Maybe slightly more open? Because both teams are pretty defensive and pretty conservative that game, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it'll be more the same. I think both teams will play fairly tentatively. It'd be interesting to see how much of a difference having Smith Rowe in there versus Martinelli makes in that regard.
You think Martinelli gets back in the lineup after the red card suspension, or no? You think maybe just because last game went so well?
Yeah, I don't think so right away. I feel like it was one of those times. It was kind of like when Tavares was playing for a while.
Yeah.
And then it's like now Tierney's back in and he's back in.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I could see Martinelli getting
it was just hard
some time at the number 9 position.
I think he was kept in the lineup for so long because he was clicking for a while, and the team was still winning with him in there. So it's like,
yeah, for sure.
Let's not mess with it too much. But what are we looking at for a scoreline in this one?
I think it'll be 1-0 Wolves this time.
I was leaning towards that, but now I have to go another way. I'm gonna go 1-1 draw. Southampton, Norwich, St. Mary's. What are you looking at in this one?
I don't know. This feels like the game that Southampton's going to squander for no reason whatsoever.
I could see it. I mean, Josh Sargent's just a killer lately.
Yeah.
I would say, I want to see a little more out of Norwich's attack. I know it was kind of just because they were able to counter. That's how they're best suited last game. But maybe they can try to build through the midfield. But is Southampton's defense too sturdy to allow that? I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Southampton.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-0 Southampton. It does suck for Norwich though, missing out on Adam Ida for the rest of the season. That was kind of a buzzkill in that regard. Leeds versus Spurs at the weekend. Leeds potentially catch Tottenham. Maybe a little tired. They had that exhausting game against City, and then the midweek game,
Burnley.
And then this game against Burnley, where they.
We'll see, because Leeds got to play Liverpool, so who knows? But some leaky defenses to say the least. Tottenham not nearly as poor as Leeds, but I feel like this might be a goal fest. The midfields aren't particularly strong, especially lately, but I'm gonna go with a. Out of nowhere right here. 4-3 Tottenham win.
Anything's possible. I'm gonna say 1-1 draw.
Brentford, Newcastle, Brentford Community Stadium. Two teams going in opposite directions. Newcastle on the up, Brentford on the down. Newcastle's midfield that's now apparently good. Brentford's midfield, besides Jensen and Norgard, which are just good kind of defensively. Where's that attacking presence going to come from?
Maybe Christian Eriksen.
Maybe he might debut. Newcastle, do they get St. Maximin back? Do we know?
I don't think he's out for too long.
But as far as the way I see this one going, it's hard to go against Newcastle right now. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Newcastle victory.
Let's see.
We're looking at the potential injury report.
Injured is
coming up.
Oh yeah, right. He got a knock in the most recent game.
I would figure he'll be back.
I think he'll play. I remember watching that press conference with Eddie Howe. Yeah, Newcastle, I expect an easy win out of this one. 2-0 probably.
That's what's scary about it. You don't want to say easy with Newcastle.
I got confidence in
know.
Newcastle. Yeah, they're good now. Especially wearing those black jerseys.
I like those.
I like that too.
The
It's
black
kinda
with
like
the gold, the wavy lines.
It's like a signal that, this is a new team now. Like, don't even wear the white and black anymore. Just the black and
It's
gold.
always, I'll just say this. I don't know why. It's always bothered me that the sponsors like that tealish blue or like really light blue, and then they have red numbers. For a while, it used to be they just had the teal sponsor and then like the teal numbers on the back. I wish the sponsor was red and the numbers were red, or the numbers are blue and the sponsor blue. It bothers me.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, the numbers don't really look good with the stripes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fashion faux pas.
Yeah, all right.
Fashion faux pas of the week.
Brighton, Villa, Amex. Brighton going to be looking to bounce back. Villa going to be looking to break out.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of a down spell for Brighton. This could be the start if Villa's able to break out. Coutinho, poor game against Watford for his standards of late. Can they maybe get it going? Buendia, can he kind of carry it on? Questions with, do you go Watkins or do you go Ings? And this one, I would probably go Watkins, only because Brighton, if they're trying to hold the ball, you might be a little more inclined to play on the counter.
Yeah.
So
maybe Watkins and Ings.
Maybe
go back to that. See how it goes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Villa win. I think they do it, and they get 2 goals.
I'm gonna say 1-1. Late Brighton equalizer. Neil Mulvey.
Oh my gosh.
Popping in, or maybe Danny Welbeck.
Got to check out the Twitter, guys. Fantastic retweet by me today on that. I've been saying for a while, that announcer who said, "Oh, if Brighton could turn some of these draws to wins," and then that I sent you the chart. It's like points that they've lost from winning positions and points they've gained from losing positions. They turn these losses into draws. It's not that they're turning wins into draws. So
yeah,
you never rule it out. But Palace, Burnley, Selhurst. Burnley might be able to exploit the Palace defense, but like I was saying, Palace defense, kind of neutral, maybe trending up a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of broke out of the poor spell, but
I just feel like anytime Palace plays at home, like they got to be the favorite in the match. Even, up against Chelsea, they looked really good.
It was a toss-up.
Yeah.
It was a toss-up, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking Palace
2-0.
3-1.
3-1? Okay, I'm going to go 2-0 on that one. Man U, Watford. Oh. Watford did the double over Villa. Can they do the double over United at Old Trafford?
This is that one game that was just miserable. This one got Ole the sack.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst games I've ever seen out of the United squad, and it was pretty funny. I hope to see that again. Come on, Watford. I feel like this one might be a draw.
Yeah, I mean, my intuition for some reason is leading me to either 4-0 United blow them out or Watford hold on for like a 1-1 draw.
That's a good point. I was going to say 1-1.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that too. I just, one thing with Watford, I'll give a little shout out. Sissoko wasn't nearly as bad as he has been at times this year, that game. But I would say that Louza, he actually played pretty well last game.
Pretty soon he's going to be a winner.
So we'll go with the 1-1 draw there for Watford. City at Everton. Well, Everton, here comes the pain. City
It's
just
coming.
lost, and they're frustrated.
Yeah, it's 7 now. What do you got?
Depends on what Everton shows up, though. It could be somewhat close, or it could be 5-0. I'm going to go with a 4-0, though, for City.
I gotta say 5 now.
Woo! West Ham, Wolves. Is this the last one? Or no, there's
a Tuesday game.
a Tuesday one.
Burnley's just making up all the games.
Yeah.
And
Wout Weghorst and
Wout, they
Cornet
planned this.
might actually die.
They planned this.
They might actually die.
Conspiracy theory. They were waiting for the winter window.
West Ham, Wolves, London Stadium. West Ham in the first one kind of just, they didn't create a ton, but Bowen had a couple chances and just didn't take them, and Wolves ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
With this one, you'd be hard pressed to say West Ham, with the way their attack's going, that they're gonna make it work. But I'm probably gonna find myself saying a draw here. I think I'm gonna go with a 1-1.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good shout. I don't know, West Ham, they just seem like the squad depth is hitting them.
They've lost their, I guess, mojo. Their kind of flow to the team. They were really killing it in terms of attack, and they had Rice, as you say, bossing the midfield.
Boss man. Now he's boss manning defensive headers backwards. Boss.
Hey, he's still a good player, but
Yeah, he is.
But
They just look like, tough schedules, getting to them a bit. They need rotation, but they don't have it. Antonio's been missing for weeks now.
yeah,
I mean, he's out there, but
yes,
he's not scoring goals.
it's because he's too busy defending Kurt the Cat Kicker.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going with a 1-1 draw. What are you looking at?
I'm going to say a 0-0.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna
Burnley,
happen.
Leicester to wrap it up. What are we thinking here? We're going to see so much Burnley that our eyes are just going to be burned with the
This could go-
the spread X
Yeah,
or
spread.
whatever their sponsors. It's
Yeah.
going to be burned in our
Yeah, it is.
brains.
We're going to be sponsored by SpreadX by the time we get to this podcast. This can go one of two ways. It could either be great and Burnley are fantastic. They get 3-0 wins and they're just flying out of the bottom relegation zone.
This is the most confidence I've had in Burnley and literally since probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
With Voot and Cornet.
Yeah. That's a dangerous place to be.
I know.
It's Burnley. We
might
next
be
week.
red in the face, Sean Dyche rubbing our foreheads
Yeah.
when we come to next Wednesday, next Tuesday.
We're going to be all gravelly voiced. We're going to be like, I watched way too many Burnley games. Burnley.
We were defending well and then we lost 9-0 on 3 games aggregate and
I don't know where it all went wrong.
that's like Liam
Not enough
Neeson.
worms. I don't know where you are, but I'll find you and I'll concede goals
And I'll
to
rub
you.
my face in your head. Rub my head
The
in your face.
championship. I'll find you and I will drop down to you. And things have just taken a turn for the worst.
Burnley, Leicester, Turf Moor. I don't have a very good feel for this. I think Leicester might be the team I have like the worst feel for because I'm still waiting for the one game. Not like a full turnaround in the year. I've given up on that. But the one game where they get they win 4-1 or something. Just out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, that's, of course.
Yeah, I feel
It's almost like when you're playing blackjack and eventually the dealer's going to flip a 20 or a 21 and you're just like, oh, shit. That's kind of how I feel right now.
You feel it coming. I've been feeling that coming for a long time, but I don't know why that sounded so weird. No, it just seems like Leicester is so consistently inconsistent. Even when they win, it doesn't look that great.
This was Burnley's first win of the. No, they drew this one. They were up 2-1, but they drew at Leicester earlier this year. I think it was 2-2.
That feels like it was ages ago. I don't remember.
I remember so much about this year for no reason. Let's just give a prediction. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw, and I don't feel good about it.
3-2 Leicester.
Wow.
Yeah. Chaos.
Do you have any predictions? Or do you want to do like winners or losers of the last week, or what do you want to do?
I don't know.
Let's stick with the predictions, even though they've gone cold.
Prediction.
The wells run dry.
Here's a prediction: Dan Burn. He's gonna score his first goal in Newcastle colors, and it's not gonna be with his head. It's gonna be with his foot, and he's gonna knee slide for the celebration.
As much as I'm still cheering for Brentford to get it going again, I would love to see that because Dan Burn overall.
Yes.
Hopefully it's a scorpion kick, Josh Sargent style.
Oh, that'd be mint.
Or just a Sadio Mane bike. That man in the midair.
I think it'd break. I don't think the universe would turn upside down.
I don't even need to see Newcastle Burnley, but I need to see somehow in like a drill or something of like Dan Burn versus Wout Weghorst 1-on-1.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. The tall battle. Yeah.
Yeah, where's the Premier League All-Star games, like random skills challenges?
Yeah. All right, 1-on-1. Who can score on this training drill? Whipping in crosses. We got De Bruyne whipping in those balls from outside the 18-yard box, the in-swingers. But anyways, it's been another episode of the Premiership Perusal podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Stay safe out there, and make sure this week you watch a bunch of Burnley.
Lots of Burnley, because we're going to be talking lots of Burnley.
We love you, Burnley.
We do. We love you, Burnley. We do. We love you, Burnley. We do. Oh, Burnley, we love you.
Oh, Burnley.
Oh, Burnley.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Oh, Burnley is wonderful. That's staying in.